Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AEye Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AEye Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AEye Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to AEye Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
Sensational into the last 16. How are you?
I'm good. I could have done with a better performance last night, but the outcome, I suppose, is more important than the process. We were on Raw last night, so there's no point in rehashing the game. Certain people in the media want to rewrite the game and pretend that different things happen, but that is their want and desires. But we are on to Leeds. Now, Leeds are not very good, so Leeds do not warrant an hour of our very important time. So what we're going to do for the first little while, inspired by you, is we're going to pick our favourite Liverpool kits from our lifetimes. Now, initially it was to be top 5. We've both settled on a top 6. And I've got a couple of goalkeeper ones as well. We're going to be joined by Guy for this. So let's go round the room and let's talk about our number 6 pick. So, Karl, you were the inspiration for this. So get us started. What is the 6th best kit Liverpool have worn in your lifetime, in your view?
Right, now I have to say that this one has made it in largely on account of how I loved it looking on a couple of the players that we have, rather than any, let's say, notable outings or successes that we've earned that season. But I really love black kits. I used to love Pepe Reina wearing a black kit all the time. This one's actually an outfield one from the 07-08 season. It's the all-black Adidas one, and it had like a red trim that goes from the neck out to the side and then back down to the other side around the Carlsberg sponsor. An all-time favourite of mine for the third kits.
That kit reminds me heavily of Steven Gerrard, and that season's kits remind me of 3 specific players. The red kit always reminds me of Dirk Kuyt. The white kit always reminds me of Torres. And the black kit always reminds me of Gerrard. And I don't know why it's those 3 specific players for those kits, but I do agree. I think that was quite a good year for kits. 07-08, and I think the white away is nice as well. The home one's a bit plainer, as it should be, but yeah, that is a very, very nice kit, that 07-08 third kit. Guy, do you want to give us your number 6 then?
I have settled on the 17-18 home kit. It was the first year we went to that dark crimson red rather than the light, basically pink kits we had from New Balance in the past. But 17-18, it's where Mane, it just looked right. Darker red, I love that. It's when New Balance started making banger kit after banger kit.
Yeah, it will always remind me of Coutinho because it's the last home kit he wore. It is a nice one. Like you said, it's a deeper shade of red as opposed to the lighter shades we'd had when there was the Warrior kits and then the early New Balance kits. That is a nice one. The rest of the kits that year, probably a little bit forgettable.
I like the white and green. Well, they had the blue one. I like the white and green horizontal.
It was an insult to one of the great kits.
Yes, but I was about 0 years old then, so
I like the third one that year, the orange one. It was the Oxlade-Chamberlain goals.
The Ox kit, yeah, it was indeed. Right, my 6th one. We've only seen it once. It is the kit we wore last night. I sent you a picture of Virgil looking resplendent in the kit. I think it is stunning in colour. I think the design is great. I think it looks really good on the players. So, yeah, I'm going to go for that one for the third kit for this season. I think it is incredible. I think this season's home kit is just okay. The keepers' ones are decent. This season's kit's dreadfully let down by whatever that away kit is meant to be. It looks like Trev Downey's television screen after he launched it out the window.
Yeah, the away kit is a travesty, isn't it?
I want to see it. I don't mind if we win in it, I suppose, the odd time if it's, away to someone reasonably good, but I don't want to see it more than I have to, and partly that's because I can't look directly at it.
There's no real reason we can't wear the third kit in all away games if we're having to change from the home from the red, because who the fuck wears? If you got Barcelona, you might be able to play, but we don't play Europa League, so we won't be playing them. I can't think of any reason that we wouldn't be able to wear either the home kit or that third kit and just bin off that absolute travesty. Right, let's not get too bogged down. Karl, your number 5 kit, please.
Okay, pretty easy for me. I've gone straight into the top 5 with last night's green kit. That is a top 5er for me straight away, and I suspect could go higher if I see it a bit more often and or things happen in it to, bring up good memories. I think it's a stunner.
Yeah, no, I can fully get on board with it. I can. If we were to have good success in it, I think it could ramp up my my list as well. Guy, give me your number 5 then.
Last year's away kit, the off-white with the green and orangey red.
The Diogo Jota kit.
Yes, it's fantastic. I think Virgil looked fantastic in that. More looks spectacular in it as well. I really like that kit. And I could actually play 5-a-side in it because it passed off as white, because you needed to have a white or red, and I was always on the white team.
Do you know what the thing is, lads? It's very easy to tell when we have a bad kit now, because we have an extraordinarily handsome group of players.
Absolutely.
So you can tell the goal, like if it looks bad on Ali, if a goalkeeper kit looks bad on Ali, it's going to be a travesty on a normal human being.
He almost made me pick the lilac kit, and that's just him doing cheekbone work.
That's exactly it. But then you look at our outfield players, Trent, Joe, Virgil, all handsome men. Robbo, ruggedly handsome. Henderson's got that rugged sort of square jaw look as well. Thiago's a handsome man. And obviously Mo is a very handsome man, as is Ox. So if kits don't look good on and then obviously Darwin, here to steal all your women, by the way, people of Liverpool. If the kits don't look good on these players, they're going to look a travesty on a normal person. So we're very fortunate, and it's easy for us now to tell a good kit from a bad kit just by a picture of the player in it. Because remember back in the 80s, or not in the 90s rather, you'd see like McManaman and Fowler in a kit, and you'd be like, oh, it looks all right, and then you'd get it and it'd be awful. And you'd be like, well, they're just normal looking fellas, so, my number 5, I'm going back to 2000, 2001, and the third kit. Now, there's a couple of reasons. It brings back memories of some good performances from us in that season. Not big games, but we wore it quite a bit that season. I have memories of us wearing it quite a bit. And I like that gold and navy sort of pairing.
It's the FA Cup final, Michael Owen gold one you're about.
Yes, he said it was. Sorry, yeah, it was the away kit the year before. Maybe that's where I'm thinking. Yeah, so look, put it down as the 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
away kit. It became the third kit the next year, replacing that green thing that Reebok had given us.
At that time, we were doing that every year, weren't we? The away kit for 1 year became the third kit for next year.
The third kit, yeah, which was a really good thing.
Yeah, that was fine.
I don't understand why we can't do that. Although if we did that this year, we'd get 1 year of the green kit, and then we'd be on to that horrendous yoke again next season.
Maybe we reverse the trend, and that can be our away kit next year.
I'd make it the home kit. It's that good. I'd make it the home kit. Right, Karl, your number 4 kit then.
My number 4 kit. All right, this is a bit of a classic. It's the 1989-1990 away kit, which is the silver candy one with the sort of flecks or the light silver arrows going through it.
It is a thing of absolute beauty. We had great kits those 2 years, 89-90 and 90-91. We had the same kits both years, and they are a thing of absolute beauty, home, away, and the goalkeepers. And I don't know about you, Karl, but when I think of that kit, the one man I always see in it is John Barnes.
Yes, exactly the same. I have a mug.
Shorts splitting at the seams from those enormous ties. Beautiful.
Yeah, I have a mug. I no longer have this T-shirt, unfortunately, but I do have a mug in the same design, fashion, whatever you want. And every time I drink it, it's Barnes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Guy, your parents were probably still kids at that point, so you don't remember that kit at all.
Absolutely.
Right, Guy, give us your next one.
So we are going to 2011-12, known for its Liverpool successful year, that one. Worst home kit ever. We've got blue on the third kit, so nobody liked it, but the away kit, gentlemen. Black, well, very dark grey, I'd say, rather than black. Silver pinstripe, silver writing, just a bit of red on it. It's a phenomenal kit. I have that in the back. I think that may have been the last one I got a player's name on the back, and I had Gerrard on the back of it. It's a fantastic kit. I think this was that was basically the last good kit from Adidas we had, and it was fantastic.
That was a particularly poor year for kits. The home and the third kit are fairly awful, but that is a great kit. I do think that the goalkeepers home and away were nice that year as well, but that away kit, very, very nice.
I do like that one. I have it. I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere in my room.
So my number 4 is 95-96. It is the quadrants kit. The green, the white. I think it's because that's why, in part, I like this season's away kit so much, because it's a very similar green. But that 95-96 away kit, stunning for me. And Robbie Fowler is the player that defines that kit in my mind. The home kit had that big clunky collar that I didn't like. The away kit was a little bit too busy. The goalkeepers' kits were an abomination. Whatever, somebody at Adidas was smoking copious amounts of marijuana at the time when designing the goalkeepers' kits. But that away kit is sensational for me.
What kit is this that you've picked? The green and white quarters?
Yes.
Yeah, 95-96. Yeah,
it's beautiful, but the rest are garbage.
Oh, we're going to have an argument then.
You're going to pick the home kit, aren't you? Oh, this is going to be dreadful.
It felt like a jumper when you put on that home kit. That was the big.
It did. One. Big collar looking something your granny had knitted you for Christmas.
Yeah, no, I'm not picking that. That was a travesty.
Right, we'll move on then to Karl, your third kit, your number 3.
And number 3 pick is actually the only home kit that I've got in it, and that is the 16-17 New Balance one, which was all red, and the writing and the very simple just Liverbird logo is in gold. I very much like gold on red in our kits, and we only do it once in a while, so this was a pretty smart one, I thought.
Yeah, I really liked that as well. I liked the Liverbird in gold on the Warrior kits as well, and I think it was a clever move. And I think you're right. I think that New Balance one is probably the best of them. We also had quite a nice away kit that year. The third kit I'm not sure what anybody was thinking.
Toxic Green is a absolute cult hero. I will not hear a bad word.
Oh dear. Right, give me your number 3, guy.
I don't know why this isn't my number 1, but it's the black and gold goalkeeper kit from 2019-20. Maybe it's because Alisson's in it that pulls it off, but it's just a phenomenal kit. I think it was like the quickest selling out goalkeeper kit in history of football, and rightfully so, because it is fantastic.
It is a nice one. It is a nice one. My third kit, I believe that the 86-87 season is the best season of kits we have ever had. And I will not be dissuaded on that. And I am putting the third kit, the yellow Adidas crown paints. I think it's just beautiful. It is my number 3 kit of all time.
I think that year is an absolute beauty. I would just personally have the white one over the yellow one, I think. Any of the 3, really. That is a special collection.
It is. It is.
I don't do yellow kits, gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Well, you're from Middlesbrough. You couldn't possibly wear yellow.
You're busy with your purple and lilacs, aren't you, sir?
Exactly.
How dare you?
Right, Karl, give me your number 2.
My number 2 is 95-96 third kit. It's the one next to the one that you've just picked.
No, it's too busy, Karl. It's too busy.
It's an absolute beauty. I loved it. I had this one when I was a kid, obviously. And I think it might have been my favourite garment of clothing of all time. Let's be honest, it's pure 90s. It is half psychedelic, half ridiculous, and half way too much going on, like you say. It's the gold one with the black trim, and then in the background of the main body of the shirt is over and over and over again the badge itself repeated in black and red. It's a bizarre looking
in
thing.
Various sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
No.
And directions.
Oh, God.
I love this one. I think I can't remember who I had on the back of this one. I think I had fans, and then it started to peel off, and then I got it back with my name and 10 on the back instead somehow. I'm not really sure how that one happened, but I loved it. Many a goal was scored in the back.
Is this 95-96, sorry?
Yes.
Yeah.
The yellow one?
Yes.
Gold and
Oh,
black.
God.
Many a goal was scored in the garden with that shirt on.
Oh, God.
Right, Guy, give me your second one.
Right, this kit would have been an all-timer if Alisson was at Liverpool in 13-14. It's the white pinstripe goalkeeper kit that Simon Mignolet was dreadful in, obviously. But that kit is fantastic.
It is a nice kit. It is a nice kit. And you're right, it was wasted on Simon Mignolet.
If we brought that back and Alisson wore that, I think it would just be put in the Louvre or something like that. Just magnificent.
I think there'd be reports of flooding all over the world.
Absolutely.
Best thing about that one is if Alisson did ever wear it, it would never get dirty because he doesn't really have to dive that much. He just stands in the right position and saves everything.
Diving is not. Diving is for goalkeeping paupers.
Mid-tables.
Yeah.
No, that's
Hard to expect Ali to dive. My second one, Karl picked the away one in this year. I would lean to the home kit. It's the 89-90, 1991 red candy with the kind of flecks through it. Again, it's the epitome of John Barnes. So yeah, that would be the one for me.
It's a classic. It literally is the home one of the away one, isn't it? Very, very similar design.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, and even the goalkeeper kit was pretty much the same, wasn't it? The green with the white flecks going in every
It was
direction.
gorgeous as well.
The Grobbelaar kit.
Yeah. They literally looked like Bruce might have designed it himself.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant kits. Right, the moment everybody's been waiting for. Karl Matchett, your number one all-time Liverpool kit.
My number one is the 2018-19 New Balance away kit. I absolutely love a purple kit, and I've waited a long time for Liverpool to have one. and it's probably not the greatest one, but I love the memories of it. I love the look of it. I had it. I think actually that one I've got. I think Ox signed that one for me actually at one point. And I love purple. I love the purple kits, the Orlando ones, the Fiorentina ones. So for Liverpool to finally have one, and a little bit of orange, I think looks really nice on it as well. I love this one. This is my favourite.
You should have picked the Dragon kit from like 12, 13.
That was not quite purple enough.
So initially when I saw that kit, when it was released that year, I hated it. And then I saw it in person and I really liked it. Like you, I grew up on 90s Italian football and Fiorentina, so I've always had a soft spot for, a purple kit. It's very un-Liverpool in many ways, but it is a very nice kit. I think it's only fair to say it is a very nice kit. And it was needed that year because the home is quite plain. The away is sort of an homage to the 89-90, not nearly as nice, but, and the goalkeepers' kits that year just looked like fruit pastels, yellow, green, and pink. That away kit is very, very nice. I think that's a strong choice. Mr. Drinkle, your number one.
I have picked the 06-07 home kit. The floppy collar is what just sets it off for me. I love that. It's the Torres kit. Everyone will know what I say when I say the Torres kit. It's when he signed. Floppy collar. I think Gerrard looked good in it as well.
Yeah, we had that kit 2 years in a row. We had it 06-07, 07-08. It is a solid kit for certain. We've obviously looked at the third kit that year as well in 07-08. But yeah, I think that's a good choice. Karl, would you have been a fan of the 07-08?
I don't mind that entire year. I think the third kit that year, the white with the sort of green or whatever colour it is down the side, that was the Bellamy Barcelona one, wasn't it?
Bellamy,
yeah.
I like that kit.
I don't mind that one as well. I think that whole year is pretty across the board quite good, actually. I'm not usually a fan of collars of any description other than, just the round collars, but that one was all right. I remember scoring.
I had the orange goalkeeper top that year as well.
Of course you did, mate. Of course you did.
I did. It had padding on the shoulders. So when I was in my primary school, goalkeeper team. I was pulling off all the saves. There you go. How about that?
I remember the 95-96 goalkeepers kits. They had padding in the shoulders and the elbows as well.
Big diamond ones on the elbows.
Yeah. And they were quite strange to wear. I guess that just leaves my number one, and you've actually already called this one, Karl. I'm going back to the well. Oh my God. So for anyone that's in our Discord chat, Hefty Horse has just put in a picture of, I don't even know what he's wearing. It's Jorge Campos, isn't it? The Mexican keeper.
Yeah.
And he is wearing what would probably now be the type of thing you'd see like rappers wear to the beach or something, and it would be designed by Gucci or somebody like that. It is an absolute atrocity. It looks like a game. For those that are old enough to remember the Nokia 3210, it looks like multiple games of Snake are taking place on a beach towel. And the best part is the socks are quite plain.
It's a bit like he's wearing a tent that doesn't quite fit him, like a circus top tent.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AEyePro10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
From memory, oh my goodness, there's another one. From memory, he designed these himself.
He did at least a couple.
He was behind. Yeah, these are.
Guessing he didn't get a job at Nyclin.
No. I'm guessing that once his playing days were over, that was it for him.
He wore a couple of intriguing ones along the way as well, didn't he? But I don't think he designed them.
I like that the sleeves are flared sleeves and stop at about 3/4 down the arm.
They look like more shorts.
On a goalkeeper of normal size, they're probably short sleeve shirts, but the shorts are just dreadful. What on earth was Eddie? Who allowed him to do this? But then I suppose his club side allowed him to play as a striker, so there is that. Anyway, that has completely thrown me. My number one kit is 86-87. It is the away white kit. That whole year is perfect. The home and third had been the home and away the previous season. That away kit was introduced, and I just think it is absolute minimalistic perfection with the old Adidas logo, which was absolutely perfect. Very simple Liverbird, crown paints, magnificent, absolutely magnificent. So
is Adidas everyone's favourite manufacturer?
Yes.
Yeah, same.
See, this is why I would have wanted us to go back to Adidas when we went to Nike, because they would have done. Kits. That's the thing. Look at Arsenal have had one season with Adidas. The kits were a little bit questionable, but for most of the time, is this year 4 now? They've been back with them.
I think so,
and I think it's the third absolutely smashing kit that they've had. Adidas for me, just in terms of the classic old school kits, and in terms of what they've been doing recently, which is largely a throwback to those classic old kits, Adidas have just been absolutely smashing it. So 18-19, Arsenal were still with Puma. My belief is that Puma should be banned from all football because their kits are crap.
They should only make Italy kits. That's the only thing they should be allowed to make.
Like, the 1920 Arsenal kit is very nice. Then you have the 2021 kit, which is pretty good. Is it? Or is it the dodgy one? Maybe it's the dodgy one. Let me get a closer look. Yeah, no, the 2021 is the dodgy one. 21-22 is a triumph. And then this year's kit is nice as well. And what's cool is they've also done all the retro stuff, which has been such a success for them. Adidas by a distance. Karl, would you have a preference on who would make your kits if you were starting your own football team?
I really actually like the home Puma kits where they make them completely minimalistic. They've done them a couple of years, but not all the time. But there's a Dortmund and a Milan one, and they're just maybe the away one of the Milan is just plain white with the Puma in red and the sponsor in red and the badge, and that's it. So I don't mind them when they do them like that. But the last couple of years when they've done these third kits with the team name written across the front and that is absolute travesty. Those are rubbish. I don't want that.
It's such lazy design, though. It's just a way of getting out of having to design the third kit. Like Man City's one just looks like a training top or a t-shirt or something. It doesn't look like a football jersey.
Pyjamas for kids.
Exactly. Right. I've got a couple of goalkeeper ones written down here that I did like. So the first one, or I suppose the best one, is that Bruce Grobbelaar 90-91. That's in my view. I've also marked down the 98-99 goalkeeper away kit, which I thought was quite nice. And then I've got the 03-04, again, the away one, not the home one, kind of orange with the royal blue sleeves and sides. But yeah. So just to recap, Guy, your number one Liverpool kit is the floppy collar.
Yep.
06, 07, 07, 08 home kit. Karl, your number one is the 2018-2019 away kit, the violet.
Beautiful purple.
And mine is the 06, 07 away, a stunning white number. And that is the content you came here for. So now we have to talk about Leeds, and we have about 20 minutes. So, Karl, we take on Leeds in the Premier League this weekend. They have won 2 games all season. They have lost their last 4 games. They have lost 6 of their last 8 with 2 draws. They have not won since the 21st of August. The 24th of August, because they did beat Barnsley in the League Cup. But in the Premier League, they haven't won since the 21st of August. Pressure seems to be mounting on Jesse Marsch. The fans seem to be getting a little bit riled up. But in his defence, I don't think the results match the performances. I think the performances have been pretty decent on most weeks. Obviously, they stank the place up against Brentford. But I think there's been some good performances there where they were a little bit unlucky not to take something from the game. The Arsenal game, for example, I think they absolutely deserved a share of the points there. I thought the Palace game, they deserved something. And I thought the most recent game against Fulham, they deserved something from the game. Leicester, I would say, was a disappointing performance and result as well. But by and large, I think they've been better than their points tally would suggest.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think a couple of the recent defeats that they've had, they should have won, not just got a result, to be perfectly honest. The game against Crystal Palace completely could have gone either way. I think they were a better team for most of the first half. Palace were better for the second half. The Leicester one, I didn't actually see that game, but again, against Arsenal, then in between those 2 fixtures, I thought for large spells of that game they were good. They created loads of good chances. They did not have a clinical edge in the slightest. It was still at the time when Bamford was coming back and trying to obviously get full sharpness and fitness. I think he missed a penalty in that game as well, didn't he? There were loads of opportunities for Leeds to at least take a point from that game. Now, Arsenal really, really had to work hard and get very fortunate, at least, I would say, 2-3 times to take the win from that match. And that's a big thing when you're at the top end. Obviously, you have to struggle and suffer and all the rest of it and take the wins. But at the bottom end, it counts kind of more if 2 or 3 of these games in a row happen to you. The Fulham game at the weekend, I've not seen the whole thing. I saw parts of the first half and it looked pretty even for a while, but obviously second half Fulham have run away with it. So I will watch that back before we play at the weekend and see exactly what happened there in the second half. But like you say, a lot of these games have been very, very close, and it's only a goal in it either way, and they've not managed to get the points, which is a big problem in one respect, but also does show that if they can make a couple of little alterations and get things to click in certain areas, they're probably not that far away from taking 6 points instead of 0.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I suppose the fortunate thing for them is that the table is so tight right now. It is very easy to get yourself out of the bottom 3 with a couple of good results. We've seen Leicester this past weekend. Before they kicked off, they were bottom. After they won, they were out of the relegation zone. We've seen West Ham 17th before kickoff, 10th after they won. So there's only 5 points between them and West Ham in 10th. There's only 7 points between them and us in 8th. The table is very, very condensed right now, and I would say there's probably 7, 8, maybe even 9 teams who could potentially find themselves deep in the relegation mire come September. Not because they're bad teams, but because I think a lot of the league is very, very similar. I think there's a lot of parity among the bottom 8 to 9 teams in the league. I don't think there's any one standout, their garbage team. Bournemouth would probably be the number one contender for that, but under Gary O'Neill, they have obviously been better. I think it's, I don't know whether the league is strong or the league is weak and everybody's weak, but you know what I mean? I think parity is just there.
There's so much inconsistency everywhere as well that obviously 3 defeats in a row or something like that, and you do drop from, let's say, 10th, 11th down into just outside the relegation zone, or at the opposite end of the pitch, or the opposite end of the scale. We saw ourselves win 2 and go from 13th, 14th up to able to go into the top 6 if we won our game in hand. So it's still very early and still very condensed, like you say. We have to make sure, obviously, from Liverpool's perspective, we start to find that consistency now in our game and try to finally string together 3 wins in a row starting from now. But they are not a billion miles away. I don't think that there's going to be too many teams get cut adrift just at the minute, and I still expect that Leeds will, over the course of the season, have enough to stay up. I think they're a good footballing side. They're very, very aggressive, really fast playing through the thirds. The movement is at times really good up front, and the interlinking play that they have with Aronson, Rodrigo, Bamford when he's come back a couple of times, and Sinisterra, really, really good.
Yeah, I think Bamford is going to be vital because without him, there just isn't a regular goal threat in the team. Rodrigo's had a decent start to the year and he's got 5 goals. But would you be at all surprised if he didn't score for the rest of the season? You know, you're looking at a fella who, over his career outside of Portugal, has only ever had 2 seasons of double figures and only 1 season of double figures in the league. In fact, in his entire career, including Portugal, he's only had 2 seasons of hitting double figures in the league. 1 for Benfica, 1 for Valencia. Other than that, he's largely in that sort of 4 to 7 kind of range. Sinisterra, I think, will be a player who'll score a lot of goals for them over time, but he's still feeling his way into the Premier League and obviously had one of the more ridiculous sendings off anyone's going to have all season. He was part of what I thought was a really nice transfer window. I think Aronson, Christensen, Roja, Adams, Sinisterra, and Gnonto was a really clever window by Leeds. I did think they left themselves a little bit short in terms of a backup / competition for Bamford, but they did try and get that player in. Cody Gakpo was one they tried very hard to get, and I believe they thought at one point they had that deal done, and I think they left themselves short at centre-back. I like Llorente, I like Robin Koch. I don't know that together they're the ideal pairing because they're both very similar in how they play. They're both obviously injury prone as well. I thought buying one centre-back who could then have those 2 almost in rotation next to them was the move. They've got good options at left-back in Firpo when he's on form, and Struijk, who I think has played well this year. And then Christensen's been really good at right-back. I think if they could get that centre-back and get someone for depth in attack in the January window, I think they'd be absolutely fine. Because, I don't think they're a million miles away.
Yeah, I've been surprised that they've been playing strike left-back all season long, really, but he's done pretty well there. He's been all right. Christensen, I think, is very, very solid, to be honest. He's basically a 7 out of 10 pretty much every week. Decent going forward in support play, fine on the ball, very strong in the challenge. And I really like the Rocker Tyler Adams double pivot as well. I think it's really good. That is basically gives them everything you want. Rocker decent in terms of ball winning, very good short range passing and switches of play. Tyler Adams with all the energy to get all over the pitch. I love him. I think he's a great player.
I think I said this in the summer, so this is not hindsight. neither of them are as good individually as Calvin Phillips, but I think that pairing is an upgrade on Calvin Phillips and anybody else that they had last season. So while they did lose their best midfielder and they didn't replace him directly with a comparative player, I do think in the aggregate they upgraded their midfield. And I think those two, with Aronson buzzing around in front of them, has been a really nice triangle. They've had some chopping and changing in the wide roles, but they have decent enough options out there in the likes of Harrison, and Aronson has played a couple of games there. Somerville has been playing there recently. He's definitely a talent. Nanto, I think when he starts getting more games, I think he'll play in the wide areas as well. And obviously Sinistera being kind of the star name in those wide positions. The one big doubt I have about them, Karl, and it's largely because he's very, very young for a goalkeeper, and I think he makes a lot of young goalkeeper mistakes. I'm just not overly sold that Meslier should still be first choice. I think they could have looked at maybe a short-term loan option, maybe like Dean Henderson when he was available, bringing him in for a year. I'm just not overly sold on Meslier. I think there's talent there. I just think he's still a couple of years away from where I'd be comfortable putting him in my team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't actually really like Meslier that much at all. He's a good shot stopper, and usually around between the sort of 6-yard box and penalty spot, he's all right aerially. But overall, he's not the kind of goalkeeper who I prefer to see, and certainly not in a team like this where they do tend to play quite high risk, quite high upfield. The centre backs are obviously kind of rotating quite a lot because of injuries in previous seasons as well. He's not quite as solid as I would usually like to see.
Yeah, and it's not like they have... I mean, their other main goalkeeper is the young Norwegian Christopher Claassen, who's even younger than Meslier. Now, they did, in fairness to them, I said before the summer they need to get an experienced third-choice keeper in. And they did bring in Joel Robles, former Everton legend, who'd had, some decent times at Real Betis after going there before losing his place. So they did address that kind of need, but I do just wonder if maybe that's what they should have done, is gone and got someone more experienced who could start straight away. Robles is still only 32, so it's not like he's way over the hill. He's just not a great goalkeeper, and I don't know that he'd necessarily be an upgrade on Meslier.
I don't think he's that good, to be honest. So I don't think that there's much point in even bringing him or anyone else in, unless it's like a proper confidence issue for Meslier. He's going through a bad patch or something like that. Obviously, if there's an injury, you've got no choice. But I think at this stage, they've backed him so much that you've got to just go with him and let him develop and make the mistakes that you just accept that he's going to make at this point. There's no point taking him out for 3 or 4 games here or there just to play a 32-year-old who's got no future with you anyway. Unless, like I say, it is a really, really bad moment for Meslier, who just cannot perform for that period of time. But I don't think he's at that stage at all. He's a fairly level-headed looking player. I just don't see him that good.
That's the thing. I think he does let mistakes slide off him. I don't think he carries them. But like you said, the shot stopping's pretty good. The decision making is poor, and he's quite weak aerially. Like, he doesn't like to come into crowds of players to try and get to the ball, and when he does, he tends to slap at things, and that kind of stuff just bothers me. He's not the best with his feet either, so I think there's potential there, but I just don't know that he's ready. Like, it is... There's a lot of talent in the squad, and I think we're both fans. I know you're... I know we're both fans of the manager, because I like him, and I think you're a big fan of Jesse Marsch. So, have you been in any way surprised by Jesse Marsch's approach at Leeds this season, or has he been what you expected him to be?
Pretty much. I think it's pretty aggressive. It's very, very much start the match on the front foot and be as much in the face of the opposition as possible. Like I say, the interplay between the middle and final third, I think, is excellent at times. Like up there with anybody that you wanted in the league outside of Man City, probably. You look at some of the Arsenal match, for example, they had better interplay between the double pivot and the three ahead of them than Arsenal did for quite a long period of that match. Sometimes, though, in the final third, maybe you're looking at Rodrigo dropping out and then there's nobody there at centre forward, or Bamford was coming back and he wasn't fully fit at the time. And obviously Arsenal have players who are consistently at that level, whereas Leeds still are playing a few players who can reach that level, but maybe not across an entire match, or maybe not for 3 weeks in a row. And that's the big difference, obviously. But in terms of the setup, in terms of how he's asking certain players to play, like Aronson is obviously a very, very important piece from a tactical perspective for them on and off the ball. This is pretty much exactly as I expect them to set up. The midfield arrangement in particular is quite peak Jesse Marsh, I suppose, in terms of the two, and then two slightly wider, but not wide as such. He doesn't play with wingers. They are quite tucked in and they're able to interchange with the entirety of the front three, if you like it that way. So pretty much what we expected, and Sinistero, I think, is the one who will probably help them lift up quite a bit. Like Rodrigo, I agree with you. You can't rely on him across the course of an entire season to produce the numbers that he has been. But if they do get Bamford back to full fitness and he starts to play a bit more, it probably releases Sinistero to have much more of an impact over the second half of the season as well.
Yeah, and he has used Jack Harrison on the right a couple of times recently, which maybe hints that he's going to open up that left-sided role for Sinistero once he's 100%. And that is the position that he played at Feyenoord and was exceptional for them last season. So definitely seems to be figuring things out. It's still so early in the season, and I've seen a few Leeds fans question him and that. Like, look, it's a very difficult situation for him at Leeds because of who he replaced. Marcelo Bielsa is a legendary coach and did legendary things at Leeds, and the people of Leeds adored him because he didn't just go into their football club and take them from the mid-table in the Championship into the Premier League and then keep them there. He also embraced life in Yorkshire, got very involved in his little local community, made friends, had people that he would go and see, and just, made himself one of them as much as he could with the language barrier. And Bielsa was, I think, done a little bit dirty by Leeds because I think Victor Orta, the director of football, let him down badly with some of the transfer business by buying far too many young players that weren't capable of playing Bielsa's style of football straight away, leaving him short of a Bamford backup and at centre back and whatever else with the injury issues they had, and going behind Bielsa's back and basically having Jesse Marsh lined up to come in before Bielsa was even aware that his job was under threat. So I think there's some Leeds fans that are a little bit bitter about that and have held that against Marsh. And it's not Marsh's fault. He was a manager out of work who was offered a good job at a big club. So, of course, he was going to consider it. I just think they need to be more patient with him. I think his style of football can take a little bit of time to get players used to, which I think was the problem at Leipzig as well. I just don't think he was given enough time. And if we see what Leipzig have done since, has anyone been all that impressed? I know they did okay last season after replacing him, but that manager's been sacked since. So I think Marsh is a good coach who just needs a bit of time.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like they're, like I said, getting cut adrift at the bottom or anything like that. They've dropped into the bottom three, but they're level on points with all the teams in the bottom three, and one win takes you back up to 15th or so, and only for Villa obviously bouncing back against Brentford after getting rid of Gerrard. That's taken them off the same number of points. This whole start to the season, well, this whole season in fact is going to be 2, isn't it? Let's be honest. If you're anywhere in the mix at the bottom, you've still got a 3-week mid pre-season to rectify tactics
Yeah.
and to bring in a new player or to get people back from injury or whatever it is. There's a long way to go yet. And Jesse Marsh, what he has over quite a few of the other teams at the bottom, he's a really good coach. He's a very, very good coach. And I completely believe that over the longer term, that will translate into more victories than the other teams around them anyway.
Yeah, and the thing he can look at as well is he doesn't have a vast number of players who are going to the World Cup. Like, I would say Christensen will go with Denmark. Adams, Aronson, they'll go with the United States. Is anyone else in their squad going to the World Cup? I don't think so. I don't see any of the English lads getting called up. I don't see their Spanish players. Maybe Llorente gets called up if there's some injury issues.
But it's not going to be.
But
Aronson, obviously, Adams, O2s. There's more to the point of whether they go to the World Cup or not. I don't think any of the squad is going to be there all that long.
Exactly, but my point is just he can obviously give them a couple of weeks off to go and get themselves, refreshed, get them back and have more or less a month to work with the majority of the squad. And the lads that'll be away at the World Cup, Christensen, Aronson and Adams, he doesn't really need to work with them a whole lot because, well, number one, Aronson and Adams already know the system inside out, as does Christensen, having played under him at Salzburg. So those lads know what he wants from them. It's the rest that he needs to keep working with, and he'll have them all. So I could see them coming back out of the World Cup and performing quite well, picking up a bunch of points, because I think they'll be really, really ready to go. Speaking of being ready to go, though, Liverpool need to be ready to go on Saturday. We cannot afford any more slip-ups in the league. Our form has been atrocious. We have lost as many games already this season as we did in the entirety of last season's 63-game season. In fact, I think we've lost the same amount, 4 games. We've lost 3 in the Premier League. We've drawn 4 with only 4 wins. That's not acceptable. It's not like we've had the toughest of runs either. We've had a lot of winnable games where we've dropped points. Fulham, Palace at home, United are not good. Everton, we shouldn't be drawing there, but you can accept a draw in the derby. Brighton at home, we should have won. Arsenal, we should be beating. And Forest, I'm sorry, it's a disgrace that we lost to them. We need to be ready to go. We need, I believe, minimum 7 points from the next 3 games, which is Leeds home, Spurs away, Southampton home. You can guess which game I take the point in. But the 2 home games, Karl, have to be victories, especially considering we don't seem to know how to win away in the league at the moment.
Yes, that's a bit of a concern, to be fair. I think at this point, home games have to be won every single time. It basically has to get back to what it was a few years ago when we knew we were going to be taking 3 points. Obviously, it's not quite the same now in terms of the mentality and the mindset, but we can't really afford to go into any home match at this point in time and not win. I mean, strike the Napoli game because it doesn't matter anymore, but even the derby one, you're at home, it's the cup, you want to go through. You want to play the people who come back to full fitness and all the rest of it. Southampton and Leicester are the ones either side of the World Cup break. So again, you want to be winning all of those, and then it's a very, very hard run. But if you go into those on the back of at least 5 home wins or something like that, you'll have the confidence, you'll have the understanding on home soil. We'll have post World Cup and whatever that brings with us in terms of fitness and new faces and everything else. It's Chelsea, Everton, Man United in a row for our home games in the new year. So we have to be winning all of them, is what I'm trying to say here. We do not have any room for slip-ups if even the top 4 is still obviously the overriding ambition at the minute. And there's no excuse for not winning these kinds of games. There was no excuse for not winning away to Nottingham Forest. The performance levels have to improve. The energy levels have to improve. We also have to find a bit more clarity on exactly how we're approaching game to game, I think, in terms of that midfield shape.
Agreed. Now, it may be that following his withdrawal through injury late in yesterday's game, that Jordan Henderson's not ready for this one. He did take a bit of a bang to the side of the knee, and that can be quite painful and can leave you quite stiff for a few days. So he might not play. Given that Thiago is out with an ear infection, I would be very hopeful that he will be back for the weekend, having already missed 2 games due to this affliction. So my hope is that he's back. I think Harvey getting a goal last night will be good for his confidence. That's his obviously second Champions League goal. Funnily enough, both on his right foot, despite the fact that it is basically just there for standing on. So in midfield, I would suggest that perhaps Harvey, Fabinho, Thiago, and I wanted to see this last night before realising after we finished recording that he wasn't in the Champions League squad. I want to see Ox start left wing.
Yeah, I mean, same as we were really with Ox. It depends on how fit he is, doesn't it? How much we can get out of him, how many minutes they're comfortable playing him in a row. Like I said before, if you can start someone because they can get 45 minutes, you've still got you haven't got to take up the substitution moment with them because you take them off at the break anyway in a pre-arranged move. You haven't really got to worry too much about the lack of tactical alterations later on because you've still got plenty of subs on the bench. And obviously the match situation itself can still be dictated in the second half there in terms of the result. So I think if we can get 45 and if he's ready and if he's showing decent form in training or whatever, or decent touch in training rather than form, I suppose, then yeah, I don't have a problem with starting him. I would be surprised still if he started this game. I would imagine we'll still get to see him, I don't know, brought on as sub another time or two, and then maybe look at that Derby League Cup match as the first start for him. But it totally depends on who else is left being fit, because you can't just play Fabinho and Thiago, obviously, game after game at the minute if Henderson is going to be sidelined. No. Milner is probably therefore going to come in and start at least one of the games in midfield. Maybe Curtis Jones comes back in and starts in the double pivot again, and obviously he's the alternative to play on the left as well, maybe the other half with Ox.
You've no idea how much that sentence just upset.
But it needs must at the minute, isn't it? Like we
it is needs must. I do. You are 100% correct. It's just it's October, and these are our midfield options. Run the 2 good players into the ground, or play James Milner or Curtis Jones in a double pivot again.
We need them alongside each other yet, so.
Oh Lord God, if ever. That is the midfield. That's the midfield for Derby in the cup. Like that is a cup midfield if ever there was one. I do wonder if he would consider giving Basetic a start in the league. Now, obviously not for Spurs.
Maybe this one.
And maybe not even for Southampton. This might be the one if he was going to do
I assume he's going to be starting against Napoli. He's had a few sub appearances, and he's obviously got given a few bigger minutes at moments when we've been able to. So he must be pretty close. So you'd assume he would start against Napoli. And if so, you probably want him to get a reasonable run of minutes in this game as well. So whether that means a start or maybe he comes on early second half sort of thing, I'm not sure. Not sure yet how much we actually think he's very, very good, or how much he's just constantly there because we're so short of centre mids.
I think it's probably a little from column A, but mostly from column B. I think if we were whole in midfield, I don't think he'd be playing. I think if we'd done what we needed to do in the summer, I think he'd be playing a lot less. Harvey'd be playing a lot less. But it is what it is for now. Up front, I want to see Darwin and Mo as a 2, and a proper 2, not the split striker thing where Darwin's also having to play as a left back because there's no work from the left-sided midfielder. I want to see Darwin and Mo through the middle, because if ever there was a team that has the ability and propensity to open up and just invite teams to run through the middle of them, it is Leeds United. So I want to see Darwin and Mo as a 2. I think this is a good game to rest Bobby, because I think he will start against Napoli as well. I think he'll also start against Spurs. So I would say give Bobby this one off. But what would you do up front with the front two?
I would go with those two as well. I think they've been quite clearly managing Darwin a little bit carefully with the knock that he had. He's come off, around the hour mark a couple of games in a row and missed one of them as well. So it makes sense to start him if he's able, and again, build the partnership a little bit more, because if we're going to carry on playing two up front, we need to do that, whether it's the split forwards in future games or whether it's playing in the two with the four across. You still need to build up the partnerships and get them playing in a slightly more together way, with one dropping in each time. So I would like to see that continue. As I said, I want to see Salah in the two up front as often as possible. So again, last night was a good example where we didn't really play very well, but you got both the goal scoring and the playmaking ability of Salah made a big difference in terms of the result. We didn't play very well. We didn't give him loads of stuff, and he still scored and assisted.
What did you suggest for the midfield, just as a starting midfield again?
I think as long as Thiago's back, it'd be Thiago, Fabinho, and then Elliott and Jones, I think.
Elliott and Jones, yeah. I mean, it can't be Elliott Carvalho. I think we're in agreement. Those two just shouldn't play together in the wide midfield roles. Harvey in a wide role and maybe Carvalho as one of the front two, I could see, but not the wide roles. I would rather start Ox and bring Curtis on. But yeah, I mean that's neither here nor there. In defence, there might be one question to answer, in that Ibu looks like he's ready for some minutes. Would you stick with Joe Gomez at centre-back, or would you bring Ibu in next to Virgil?
It's a tricky one, to be fair, because I think Gomez was much better last night. I think he stuck pretty well with the movement that he had. Mostly the recoveries were good. There was one instance, I think it was quite near the start of the game, where he nearly did the exact same thing as he did with the wrestling, where the ball got away from him and he nearly just stopped going for the ball or defending and just wrestled the player away, same as he did against Forest. Thankfully he didn't do that in the end, and he did recover properly and defended it, and I think by and large he was decent. And the only way you're going to get Gomez back to playing how he was is by him playing consistently. But I would still play Konate for this one. I think Konate's going to be needed to play quite a few of them over the next coming weeks, and if he's not going to be able to play every single one, maybe he comes in for one at the minute and then plays another one. I think you look at that Tottenham game and what do you want for that? I want Konate to play that one, to be perfectly honest. So I think I would probably start against Leeds, not start him against Napoli, and start him against Spurs.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. It would be nice to get Joel back, and hopefully he'll be back in the next couple of weeks, because we could do with having the four of them just in this little tight period of games. So Ali, Trent, Ibu, if he's fit. If not, Joe, Verge, and Robbo or Costas for this one. Robbo's starting to look a little bit more like himself. Yeah. I think we're in agreement. Just the left wing position. I'd like to see Ox. You'd like to see Curtis. So, there we go. Prediction: we can no longer stick to our 3-1s and 5-2s.
I think that this might be one of the weirdest, most open games in the Premier League, certainly this weekend and maybe for much of the season, because both of these teams have a habit of being very good in transition play and attacking in numbers, but also leaving massive gaps at times through the centre. So it could be a bit crazy. I'm going to go for Liverpool win. I think I'll go 3-2 to Liverpool.
And I will go 4-2 to Liverpool. I think that defence is there to be had if we get the right supply into the two front players, who I think will both get a couple of goals. So we'll leave it there. Anything you want to plug before we go? Anything new coming out on The Independent?
Lots, but none of it mine. Go and have a read anyway.
This man is employed to write about football and doesn't have anything coming out. So make of that what you will, folks. We'll be back next week for Napoli and Spurs. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.